Nalo didn't just hide Motofetu in a storm. He hid it in a monster storm.
For a sequel, Moana 2 left me with more questions than answers. The film took Moana on a new adventure to fulfill the final quest of her wayfinding ancestors. The journey is long, hard, and life-threatening, which allows her to interact with new parts of her world, likely experienced by a few mortals before her. Throughout the film, Moana meets many spirits, gods, otherworldly sea creatures, and gains new abilities from her sacrifices. Many of these discoveries are left open-ended, which heavily implies that a third film is in the franchise's future. In my opinion, the most compelling parts of the narrative is the introduction of the new godly entities, and how their decisions have impacted the world. Nalo has a minimal part to play in the story, yet he has changed Moana's life forever. I suspect that he'll return in a future installment and take on a more active role in the narrative. In the event of a third Moana, I'll discuss what we could expect to see from Nalo and the other gods in today's video.
You might want to check the sundial.
Why? What time is it?
It's Maui time! Woo!
Number 1. More demigods. In the first Moana, the audience has an entire adventure to learn about Maui and what motivates him. As a human raised by the gods, he never abandoned his roots and felt desperate for outside validation. As the gods chose him to become a demigod, he had little to prove and focused all his time on humanity, who had pushed him away without giving him a chance. Maui's desperation to be accepted often clouded his judgment and led to desperate action, such as stealing Te Fiti's heart. It's a compelling narrative, and it sets the groundwork for who the demigods should be, people with extraordinary powers, but who never stop being human. Maui successfully bridges the gap between his two worlds. In Moana 2, he has learned to find value in his friendships and trust his capabilities. Not only does he try to protect humanity by stopping Nalo, but his love for Moana impacts his decisions. In contrast, the gods appear detached from humanity and one another, allowing them to remain isolated and omnipotent in the narrative. Maui may journey alone and protect humanity as he's always done, but he no longer keeps his heart close to his chest. I would love to meet future characters with similar story arcs and narratives. While they'll likely have incredible powers and strengths, there should be something about them that connects them to the audience and the mortals they originated from. We receive a glimpse of this direction with the franchise's second demigod, Matangi. She debuts in Moana 2 as an enemy for Maui to face. The audience learns early on that she's incredibly powerful and loyal to Nalo, the primary antagonist. At first glance, she appears selfish and only concerned with her own ends, as she's willing to help Nalo incite humanity's destruction. Yet once she meets Moana, Matangi tips her hand and decides to help the crew despite knowing it will cause Nalo's wrath. As it turns out, she's trapped by the vengeful god and desperately wants her freedom. Matangi appears genuinely sad when left behind in her prison, but she wishes Moana the best of luck all the same. In the next installment, I would love to see the opposite scenario, where a good-intentioned demigod experiences something drastic enough to cause mistakes or misguided decisions, each with drastic consequences.
You just have to think a little different.
Number 2. Maui and Matangi. Maui and Matangi begin Moana 2 as adversaries, but it's obvious from the start that that pair have a history. They talk like people who have known one another for a long time and have crossed paths on more than one occasion. Initially, it seems like they were longtime adversaries, which would make sense if Matangi was the one enforcing Nalo's will. While Matangi seems to tease and threaten Maui, finding joy in his reactions, Maui claims that she's terrible. There's a level of levity within their interactions that lessens the stakes, and in my view, I thought they may have once been friends or rivals. The rival storyline would be especially interesting if they became demigods at the same time, causing them to compete for the gods' approval. Fortunately, the real connection between Maui and Matangi is hinted at throughout the film, specifically in dialogue between Matangi and Moana. When the pair first meet, Matangi sounds surprised that Maui never mentioned her, insinuating that their relationship was important enough to warrant Maui telling his best friend about it. Later, after Matangi helps Moana's crew reach the waters of Motofetu, Matangi makes a comment about Maui's appearance. When she's alone again, she claims he looks good, but her opinion is only heard by the audience. I doubt that the writers would include that line in the script if Matangi and Maui didn't have a romantic history or fleeting romance. I would love to see Maui and Matangi meet again in a future installment where they could reminisce on their past together. Maui may even see through Matangi's villain act and help free her from Nalo's control. While I don't expect a romantic subplot from the Moana franchise, there's no reason Maui can't help an old flame, allowing the pair to become friends.
Who are you, Matangi, guardian of this little slice of paradise?
Number 3. Te Fiti's return. One of the primary characters in Moana was Te Fiti, a goddess with immense power and dominion over nature. With the ability to create life, she made the islands of Polynesia, including Motunui. Without her, Moana's story wouldn't be possible, as she is responsible for the many islands that Moana is determined to explore. Coincidentally, these islands also include Motufetu, located in the center of the ocean. I wouldn't be surprised if Motufetu is a place of divine importance, as it connected humanity together. Te Fiti may have made Motufetu for this purpose, and after losing it to Nalo once before, she may willingly join forces with Moana to ensure her creations are no longer destroyed.
You know, it'd be rude to refuse a gift from a goddess.
Number 4. The Realm of the Gods. When reunited with Maui by Matangi, Moana manages to unlock a gateway formerly used by the gods. Maui seems surprised by this, but Moana's competence may have foreshadowed her future evolution into a demigod. It may also show that the gods watch over Moana and give her their favor, ensuring that she will survive her many adventures. The gateway Moana opens is like a celestial sea full of light. The gateway is how the demigods and gods travel long distances within seconds, and its existence on another plane implies that the gods may have other locations, sacred to them. Now that Moana is a demigod and can traverse these locations alongside Maui, the third film could establish a realm of the gods.
You're all gonna die.
What?
Number 5. Sentient nature. One of the biggest mysteries in the Moana franchise is the ocean and its existence. We learn in the first film that the ocean is a fully sentient entity capable of emotions, decision-making, and extreme loyalty. For example, it decides that Moana will be the one to restore the heart of Te Fiti and forms a long-lasting bond with her. In the sequel, it does the same thing with Samia, choosing to play with her and send messages between the two sisters. However, it's implied that the ocean predates the gods and humanity alike, meaning that it may have been the first sentient creature on Earth. The next film should discuss the ocean's origin, including what it is or if it's the creation of a specific god. I also think it would be interesting to learn about other forms of nature with the same level of sentience.
Maui?
Number 6. A godly pantheon. I would love if the next Moana established a godly pantheon. In this case, it could be a handful of gods, including Te Fiti and Nalo, with unique responsibilities toward humanity. As we already know, some of these gods chose to show Maui mercy, making him a demigod from a young age, while others, such as Nalo, don't hesitate to take human lives. I suspect that their differing opinions lead to discourse, and I wouldn't be surprised if Moana became a fly on the wall of their next disagreement, especially if Nalo tries to get his revenge.
We can draw the storm, Maui. It's the only way.
Overall, I think the inclusion of new godly characters will move the Moana franchise in a positive direction. The concept of otherworldly forces pitting themselves against humanity is overused, but it never tires. There's something uplifting about watching people like Moana give her all for the greater good, only to have her efforts rewarded. I suspect that she has allies, such as Te Fiti, who will do whatever they can to ensure her success. Unfortunately, the franchise has established an overarching villain with Nalo, and I doubt he'll go down without a fight. If anything, it proves that Moana 2 isn't the last we've seen of the gods, and I look forward to seeing what they'll do next.
You get a chance to meet your hero.
You are not my hero, and I'm not here so you can sign my oar.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. Subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to stay updated on our uploads.